What's going on, guys? So I feel like we're kind of all over the place with our van build here. We did some of our electrical rough in and some fairing strips and insulation, and we have all our roof wrap components. But there's one thing that I want to do before we close up everything, and especially because our headliner is out right now. I'm going to put a new stock unit, our head unit, in the van. So when we bought the van, we ordered it with the cheapest head unit that you can find, and honestly, it's not good, but we kind of knew that when we ordered it. And one of the reasons why we didn't do the one that has Apple CarPlay is because it was very expensive from factory, and honestly, we didn't hear good things about it. So we decided to buy one aftermarket from it's an iNav unit from 4x4.ca. I'll put the link on the description down below, and it has really good reviews and it looks really good. It is made for a Sprinter van, which is a big thing because most of them look like they are not stock, and we didn't want that. So we're gonna get started with this installation, and thank you guys again for following all of our videos. We really appreciate it. One of the first things that you got to do is kill the power off the van. You don't want any trouble codes or anything like that because we will be connecting some stuff and disconnecting stuff from the head unit. So there's a little panel here that it has a battery switch, so you don't have to actually go down and disconnect the battery fully. All right, so there it is. It's a little bit of a struggle getting it out. But right in here, there is a battery kill switch. All right, so now you guys can see it a little bit better. There's a red little button right there. You push down on it, on that button, and then you take the plug off, and that will disconnect your battery. All right, so there's tabs all throughout. You just have to work your trim tool the whole way around. The worst ones are right about here. It feels like you're gonna break it, but you're not. But just do it a little bit at a time. So this is the front piece. We will be reutilizing the vents, but then this thing is pretty much gone. So now we need to remove the actual head unit of the van. So once you take the trim piece off, there's a couple screws on either side that you have to remove in order to pull the old stock unit out. All right, so 4 screws, one there, one below, same thing on the other side, and now this thing comes right off. Here's all your wire harness that we are going to reuse for the new unit. And you can see where the wires go here on the side. We're also going to be running a wire along the side of that one that goes to there, and then up here into here. You don't necessarily have to have the headliner off. You can shove a wire through here, but you do have to pull this piece of trim out to run your wire through there. The only reason why I did this because I'm wiring my van right now for my switches, for my lights and everything else. So, and also put in insulation, but you don't really have to do it. All right, so if you're sitting there wondering how you get these wires off of this, originally I took this clips off, but only these come out and then those are still stuck in there. So the way you do it is you squeeze this little tab in here, this thing falls up, and then it comes right out. Pretty easy. And then this one here, you squeeze a little tab and it pulls right out. And that's it. All right, moving on to the dining room. I want to show you what this looks like, and you guys can tell what else is coming on the channel. We're gonna do Starlink and a WeBoost in our van to stay connected while we're way out there. All right, so this is what comes inside the box. You got your new trim piece that looks like it's a stock Sprinter radio, which is awesome. That's one of the biggest reasons why we decided to go with this, is because we didn't want something to look aftermarket. And then you have your head unit right here. Is pretty small compared to the old one. All touchscreen. You have wire harnesses here. There's 2 of them that fit plug and play. Microphones for the Apple CarPlay and just talking through your phone in the van. And then you have 2 antennas. This is your GPS antenna, and then also a 4G antenna, which I'm not really sure if I'm gonna use that, but I might just put it on just in case I decide to do it in the future. All right, let's get this thing in there. So we're gonna start putting this thing together. You gotta remove this plastic for the screen before you put the head unit into the trim piece. And then there is a couple little screws here, and they come inside of this little baggie, tiny little screws. You just gotta put them on to secure the unit to the trim piece. So we gotta remove these vents because we're gonna be reusing them. So all you gotta do is push down on this and push the vent out that way. The one thing to note here is that it says top. So make sure you're putting the vents in the right location. There it is. So the one thing that doesn't come with the radio or the head unit is this RCA cable. You gotta purchase this on Amazon. It's pretty cheap, but we have to get this wire from the back of the head unit the whole way up the A-pillar, and then come out here to do a splice connection over here. So I have some fish wire that I went through behind the airbag, and if you're having trouble trying to see like where that goes, there should be a very decent sized opening that you can see daylight if you open the door, and then it will come out there. So all you gotta do is attach your wire to your fish wire and then pull it through. There we go. I did wrap the connector so it wouldn't get damaged as I'm pulling it through, but it's a pretty large opening. You shouldn't have too many problems. So, okay, there's our wire. And we're going to secure the wire to the A-pillar using the existing wire harness in there, and then come the whole way around to right about here. You want to leave the long end over here because you're going to be cutting this wire, but make sure that you leave enough slack so you can plug in this to the back of the head unit. So you definitely want to make sure that that wire is secure, especially around the airbag. You don't want that wire to come loose in front of the airbag in case of an accident and then the airbag gets caught on the wire, which would be really bad. So definitely secure it to the other wire that is right behind it with several zip ties, and then you come the whole way around and try to follow the existing wires that are already on the van to make your connections. So I got the microphone wire ran, and you're gonna want some slack in here because that microphone is gonna go right there. And then the RCA cable that you have right here, you want to cut this, leave a little bit of slack, but this wire is crazy long, so you're gonna have to cut it here and splice it. We have to disconnect this clip right here, and this is where your feed for the camera is going to be. So what you're looking for is this black and yellow one right here. And in your van, it might be slightly different, but this is a 2023 Sprinter and it is yellow. In some other ones, I believe it might be white. Okay, so now we're gonna start plugging things in the back. This is your wire harness that comes with the unit, and all of these connectors fit in the back here, and they're all different, so it's not difficult to figure out where each one of these things go. So I have all the wires connected, not permanently. I want to test it out first, but in order to test it out, I had to bring the headliner and make those connections. And now I'm gonna turn the battery back on on that switch that I showed you guys earlier and see how it works. All right, so I have everything plugged in the back of the unit, and now moment of truth. Boom. That's working. Yes, it's working. Okay, so we're going to test the backup camera, like I said, before we make that connection up there. And that is normal. What you're seeing right now on the screen is normal. You might be thinking, what the heck is up with that? Well, the reason is because you have to go to the settings here. So you go to settings, camera, and then camera format. And it's preset to the AHD something. It needs to be CBBSN right there. This one, the first one. So then you save those, and now we go back up, and there we go. And it turns with the steering wheel. Everything is perfect. So we're gonna finish up and actually make the connections for this and then put everything back in. So this unit comes with two extra USB plugs that you can put anywhere, and we want to build them into this front trim plate. It is a little tricky on where you're going to put them, so you got to make sure that this measurement is the same thing on both sides. And then one thing that I found is that my ruler, if I set it at that bottom part right there, is pretty even on the top, so I can mark my top ones to make sure that they are actually level, and then I measure the hole that I'm going to need to cut, and I believe is 1 inch by 1/2 inch, but I will check that. And these are the plugs that I got. You can get the short ones. I think these are 3 feet, because you're going to be plugging it right to the back of the unit to one of the connectors that they provide, so don't need any big ones. But the key to this is to make sure that you don't cut too much and that this is a clean installation, and then they just snap into place like that. So my plan is I have a Dremel here. I'm going to cut this with a Dremel, and to make sure that I don't go over, I'm going to put 2 pieces of aluminum on either side with a clamp, so I am not cutting too much. And then I'm going to file the cut down. I'm going to tape painter's tape on top of this so I don't scratch or damage anything. Okay, so here we go. Everything is protected with that painter's tape, and I put the 2 pieces of aluminum. And I've done this for several other things in the past, that you just use aluminum guards, and you know, if you nick it, you nick it, but it's better than cutting the plastic. And there's a couple other YouTube videos that show this installation too, that they use this method, and then somebody else, I think, used a drill bit. It's up to you what you want to do, but I believe that this works better because I've done stuff like this in the past and the results were way better. Okay, so now that we make the cuts this way, you're gonna have the shorter end. There's gonna be a bunch of little pieces of plastic, so you want to file them down, and this is probably easier to do it this way with a flat file because you can control it, so you're not running the risk of making the hole bigger. So now what we're gonna do is push them in place. You might have to get behind it and bend this little tabs out a little bit, like push them out so it stays in place, because if you push it, it could fall out. So I did that with this one and it stayed in pretty well. But overall, super happy with how this turned out. They're nice and flush, and they honestly look awesome. So one little extra step that I did is the part where you hook up the 2 USB plugs behind the unit. I used some shrink wrap to make sure that they're nice and tight, because I don't want these things to come loose as I'm going on an off-road trail, bouncing and all that, and then I can charge my phone. So that should take care of that issue, and you should never really have to disconnect those. So one of the many complaints I found online about this unit is that these buttons don't light up. And pretty much all the other videos that I watch on YouTube don't even talk about this. But there's a super easy way to fix this. You have these two extra wires back here, ILL and ACC. If you put these two wires together, you will have lit buttons. All right, so I got the heat shrink protectors on it. I'm gonna put another one on top of the whole thing to tighten everything up together. This red wire, you don't need it. You can just cut that right off, and the same thing goes there. As you can see, I already cut that off, so you don't need that wire at all. There's no crazy reason why that is there. You can just cut it. So obviously you have your Apple CarPlay with all kinds of different apps, and it works really well. There's no lag or anything like that. I was able to get OnX off-road, which is going to be super helpful to have that when we are out and about in national forest. And the quality of the audio is actually really good, and you have all kinds of other settings here that you can adjust. You can browse the internet if you want to. There's more apps. You can do YouTube. There's so much stuff that you can do. It connects to your dash also, so it tells you your fuel range, your mileage, all that. And then if you open a door, it pops up on that, and it does work with the Sprinter, with the rear doors and the sliding door. So right now, sliding door is open, and it is showing that open. And I'm gonna do a test for you guys so you see the quality of the audio. So overall, pretty happy with this thing. It's such an improvement compared to what I used to have, and it works really, really well. One of the big reasons why we decided to do this, because we did not like the little backup camera up there. We want to be able to see well when we're backing up, and obviously you can see there that is a humongous improvement. And on top of that, we have all of our navigation and everything else through this thing. I think for 600 bucks, you really cannot beat that. It works really, really well. So that's all I have for today. I hope I was able to help you guys out with the installation of it. Thank you guys again. See you in the next video.